Hi, in today's live, I wanted to talk about mental fitness. So, it's a topic that I was hearing earlier on a podcast where they were talking about instead of saying mental health, maybe we should start thinking in terms of mental fitness and how, just from a mindset perspective, that starts to shift how we look at mental fitness, how we look at mental skills. And, particularly in a sports context, we're so used to talking about physical fitness, and that's totally accepted. If we want to build certain muscle groups, we go to the gym. If we need some more support and advice, we get a personal trainer, and that's accepted. But for some reason, on the mental skills side, it's still a kind of a bit of a stigma, a bit of a taboo subject. It's often seen that maybe we have something wrong with us. And as much as, you see memes going around and posts about it's okay to not be okay, and it 100% is, I still don't think that we're quite there in terms of a culture. It's still often seen as it's not okay to not be okay. And I think that's where, if we start to look at mental fitness, we can then see how working on our mind, working on our mental skills is just the same as working on our physical skills. And we can then start to look at what mental fitness looks like to us. Because the thing is, it's so unique. It depends on our individual situations. And it might not always be that there is a particular challenge or a particular issue that we want to overcome. Particularly in a sports context, it might be that actually your kind of things are going well at the moment, but they could be better. You want to strive for more, or you have a definition of success and you're not quite sure what's getting in the way, but you feel like you're potentially getting in the way of yourself. So you want to look at ways that you can overcome this. And this is where mental fitness comes in. I think the more that we can talk about it in this kind of term, the more that, the more that we'll have these kind of conversations, that it will be more part of the norm, and seen less as getting to that point where we've got a particular issue or needing to have a particular issue in order to look at our mental fitness. And we'll start to normalize that we make time in our day for our mental fitness. Now, what that might look like to each of us looks completely different. And that's the thing about thinking of it as mental fitness. So I'm going to keep using this term over and over again during this live. But if we looked at physical fitness, when you want to work on certain muscle groups, you don't use every piece of equipment in the gym. You don't do every kind of cardio activity that you can do when you're wanting to build up the cardio side. You look at the activities that are going to help you to get the goal that you're desiring. So it's the same with mental fitness. If you've I think as high achievers, we can often feel that we need to do everything. And I'm speaking from experience. When I started working on my own mental fitness, I wanted to learn how to meditate. And I didn't just want to do like 5 or 10 minutes a day. I wanted to do 20 minutes a day. I wanted to go out for long walks every day. I wanted to listen to a podcast. Basically, I ended up like cramming my day with all these different things. It becomes a full-time job, training your mind, if you go into it that way. Now, in reality, none of us have time for that, just as you're not going to be in the gym all day and, you're going to cause more injury. So if you think of it from a mental perspective, sorry, I'm talking fast because I get passionate about this. You can cause more damage than good if you start to overload yourself and you feel overwhelmed by the sheer number of mental skills, mental training that you've piled onto your plate. So looking at what mental fitness looks like to you and kind of think of it like a platter. So looking at different tools that you can learn, that you can embed kind of bit by bit, but then not being prescriptive with it. I don't know about you, but I get bored really easily. So one, there's kind of comfort in doing the same things every day. But also, if you're likely to get bored and then not spend time on those mental skills, then you're better off having that kind of platter and thinking about how you can like bring different things into your day. So for instance, today, I feel like I could really do with some sort of mindfulness practice. I also feel like I could do with sitting down, listening to some music. So I'm next to my vinyl player at the moment. And they're kind of the two things that listening to my mind and body today, I feel like I need. Now, tomorrow, it might be that I feel like I need to get out for a walk, or I feel like I need to, I mean, journaling, to be honest, I do journal every day. That is just something I do every day. But it might be that there's a particular style of journaling that I want to do. So sometimes I'll do like vision making journaling. Sometimes it will be a lot on reflecting. Sometimes it'll be focusing on goals or on limiting beliefs. So if there's been something during the day where I'm like, oh, like why did that bug me? And actually there was something earlier and in reality, and I'm now trying to think what it was, but it'll come to me when I'm journaling. Something happened and I was like, oh, like why did that trigger me? That really bugged me. So I've got up on a tangent on journaling, but it might be that tomorrow there's a certain type of journaling that I want to do. Or it might be that I want to do EFT tapping. If you don't know about EFT tapping, drop me a message. It's something I'm really passionate about. Or it might even just be lighting a candle. So where I'm sitting right now, this is like my cozy corner in my bedroom. You can't see behind the phone and the laptop, but it's surrounded by candles and crystals and various nice smelling things. But sometimes it might just be lighting a candle and sitting in silence for like 5 minutes. So in terms of your mental fitness, it's thinking about having those tools so that you can then draw upon them as and when you feel that you need different things. So it's thinking about throughout the day, what do you need? And, you know, for me, I think that really is mental fitness, is listening to your mind, listening to your body, because you know yourself better than anyone else. Sometimes we have to remind ourselves of that. But when you take a moment and actually listen to what do I need right now, you know, you have the answers. You know, yes, you can get the support and you can learn how to kind of deepen certain practices, or you can bring in new practices. But at its kind of basic level, listening to your mind and body, you know what is going to help you in that moment in time. So for me, that's kind of what mental fitness looks like, is listening to mind and body. And thinking about, you know, this isn't necessarily extrinsic goals, it is intrinsically linked. So it is all about that inner work. And I think sometimes that makes it hard to do. But again, if we think of it in terms of mental fitness, just like with physical fitness, if you went in, say you'd never been in a gym and you went into a gym today, you're not going to expect to have like big muscles tomorrow. You'll feel it. You'll feel that you've been in the gym, but externally, no one's going to notice. You're not going to notice that like change in your body just from one session in the gym. It's the same with your mind. So reminding yourself that this is the inner work. It's going to take time, but if you put in that consistent action, you will start to see the benefits, and that will then ripple outwardly. So in relationships, in, you know, thinking on the court, how you're going to show up on the court, starting off with this work, it's not going to be like an overnight thing, but you'll start to see that ripple effect in your well-being, in how you feel, in how you sleep. You will start to kind of, once you take consistent action, you'll start to see the benefits. So again, thinking of it in terms of that fitness side, just as we think of physical fitness, it's the same, and you wouldn't expect to see an overnight success. Sorry, I didn't want to go off on tangents. I have made notes. But I think that's the gist of it, is, you know, remembering that there's a phrase that I'm always saying, is that it gets to be simple, and it does get to be simple. And, you know, mental skills work, mental fitness gets to be simple. So I guess I wanted to leave you today with, maybe you want to pop it into a comment or drop me a message. What's the one thing that you can commit to do today to support your mental fitness? And again, just taking a moment, your mind, your body will tell you what you need today. And often what you need might not always be what you want. So if you're feeling in like a bit of a funky mood today, I mean, the weather's not great, you might feel like you want to just mong out on the sofa and watch Netflix. And, you know, sometimes that's great. But what you need might be something different. So it's kind of just listening to yourself. And just noticing what do you need right now. So let me know, what are you going to commit to do today? One thing that's going to support your mental fitness. And again, starting to think of it in terms of mental fitness, I think we'll see like a kind of a shift in terms of how we think of it, just as we do with physical fitness. Anyway, I shall love you and leave you and hope you have a great day.